Hi everyone, I'm Arabda and you're watching Interfaced. With Interfaced, we try to take a look at Halborn on the inside. And today we're going to see another facet of understanding an ethical hacker's mindset. And for that, we have joining us in today, Piotr, who is our offensive security engineer. Piotr, over to you. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're joining us from, and then we take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me. My name is Piotr. I live in Poland, and I'm, just like Arabda said, an offensive security engineer and the protocol lead here at Halborn. And on the day-to-day basis, I mostly do DeFi, smart contract, and layer 1 protocol security audits. And I'm mostly focused on Ethereum, Solana, and Substrate, which is the foundation of Polkadot. And just one of many things I like about my job is as I get to research new things in blockchain and DeFi space and create tools for that. Apart from my normal responsibilities, I also teach cybersecurity at several universities in Poland. And my backstory is actually pretty typical as backstories in cybersecurity go. Because I started as a all-around Mr. Computer guy, and then I moved on to software development, and I've worked a couple of years as a full-stack software engineer, and finally I became a pen tester, and now I'm focused on blockchain and Web3. And on a more personal note, in my free time, what I like to do is I enjoy playing the piano or riding my motorcycle if the weather is nice enough, which doesn't happen all that often in Poland. So we have to make do.
Okay. Oh wow! What's interesting about Halborn is that a lot of us are musicians. Do you think there's a connection between ethical hacking and music somehow?
Apparently, there is. It's not like ethical hacking per se, but like science and music. Because I read about it the other day, and apparently there's like a connection between like abstract thinking, which you need for like maths or physics or computer science. You also need abstract thinking for to do music. Why is that? Don't ask me. I have no idea. I just read about it, but it seems to be like a pattern because like many of the guys in our team are actually musicians, or at least they enjoy playing instruments. So it might be a thing after all.
Probably is. All right. So you started as a generalist and ended up with ethical hacking. What made you decide to want to be an ethical hacker to begin with?
So the story is, so the company I've worked for a couple of years ago, they needed someone to handle cybersecurity for compliance purposes, and all the fresh or the new employees, and I was one of them at the time, were offered the opportunity to get relevant training. But the catch there was it wasn't like any other like onboarding or any training you might expect at your new job. It was more like an entire career path shift. And since I've always liked the idea of straying off the beaten path, and also as a developer, I was interested in seeing how does the world look like on the other side of the force. I submitted my application and it was accepted, and here I am.
Well, that's great. And what would you say is your hacking style per se?
That definitely depends on the type of project or engagement I work on, because like one of the very first things you have to learn as a cybersecurity specialist or professional is flexibility, because there's no like fixed pattern that you can apply to each and every project or audit you work on. Obviously, there are similarities, but it's not like you can use a template for a project as well. The technology might be similar, like the stack, the server, whatever, layer one protocol, but ultimately it's all down to those fine details that make the difference, and that's where the vulnerabilities actually are. But that's not to say methodology is not important, because it is, and it is a lot, and that's what I like to do. Actually, I like to be methodical about the projects I'm involved in. So the usual workflow is starting off with automated scans just to grab all the low-hanging fruits. Then static analysis, dynamic analysis, because you just can't expect an automated tool to do the whole job for you, because it's just possible.
Okay, so from what you say, to summarize at the outset, we need flexibility, we need detail orientation, and we need a little bit of method to do your style of ethical hacking, more or less, to understand a project and go about it.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a method to this madness, and combining all the techniques, I believe, gets you the best results there are.
All right. What would you say has been your most cherished finding as a hacker so far?
Yeah, so, well, unfortunately, some of my coolest findings are either covered by NDAs for whatever reasons, top secret and stuff,
Right.
or they are so fresh they cannot be shared yet. So let me do something else. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to tell you about the very first hack I did.
Sure.
So so I think I was about 15 years old, and I just got my first smartphone. It was a Nokia E65. It was a slider, very cool one at the time. And what was really cool about it, it had a Wi-Fi card, and that was super important. When I was 15, and I couldn't afford cellular data, because, well, it was definitely more expensive than it is now. So anyway, I was on vacation, and I wanted to go online, but for whatever reason, my parents did not buy access to the hotel Wi-Fi. And so I opened the browser on my phone anyway, and it showed this captive portal. And but a captive portal is basically a Wi-Fi login web page. You see sometimes when you connect to a guest Wi-Fi, you can see them in hotels, like events, or shop malls, whatever. So pretty common thing. And I was like, what's gonna happen if I just open another tab? And I did open a new tab, and to my surprise, I was able to access the internet as long as I had the captive portal open for free, without any authorization or authentication. And only years after, when I actually started working as a cybersecurity professional, I found out what I did as a teenager was a half-open session attack, which apparently was a big thing back in the day with captive portal technology only emerging. I wasn't aware of that, but I was just happy I could, watch the memes for free.
That's such a story and such a journey from there, I'm sure. All right. So as someone who is an ethical hacker and works with this on a day-to-day basis, do you think it's actually possible to be unhackable?
As much I'd like to say yes with absolute certainty, I don't really think it's possible. I don't really think I can, if I'm honest. Because new techniques, exploits, and attacks are discovered and invented every day. And I believe the only way to minimize your chances of getting hacked is just to, both keep up with the bad guys and try and anticipate their actions. So being reactive and proactive, both. And, it's like, I believe you should never think of security as a product, as something that's finished, because it's never finished. I believe it's an ongoing process that needs to be adaptive, and it needs to evolve and progress with time and with the changes we observe every day.
All right, so from what you say, anticipate and keep up with the bad guys, you think security is not just a one-time thing, it's actually a mindset, and you have to keep at it all through as the code evolves.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's not like you can buy yourself an appliance like a WAF or firewall or whatever and just call it a day, because the WAF is as good as the people who designed it, and it might become obsolete or just not sufficient at some point. And if you anticipate this to happen, you're one step ahead of everybody else. Thus, you're safer.
All right, here comes my favorite question and the last one of the day. What is your favorite thing at Halborn?
So, honestly, I wouldn't do Halborn justice if I limited myself to just one thing. So I'm going to go with 3. So in no particular order, number 1, constant learning. And, it's so cool. Like every day I get a chance, an opportunity to be, smarter than I was the previous day, because my job requires me to, learn new stuff, new projects, new product goals, new technology every day. And, becoming a better version of yourself every day is, one of the more beautiful things one could ask for in life. Other than that, being on the cutting edge of one of the hardest spaces in tech, blockchain is a landscape shifting invention. Many people call it like one of the most important inventions of our time. And, just being on the cutting edge of this invention is so exciting, and it's also challenging because you have to learn and study and discover and research on the go, basically. And last but not least is the knowledge sharing and the environment, the work environment we're happy to have here at Halborn, because literally everybody is just so helpful, super helpful and friendly. And, even though all your colleagues are, thousands of miles away from you, which they are, it's not like you ever get the feeling that you're alone. Like, we're all supporting or trying to support each other. And I believe this is quite important when you're working remotely.
Absolutely. So to sum up, your 3 favorite things are Kaizen or constant learning. You also love the cutting edge work that we do, and of course the team, which I absolutely agree on. All right, Piotr, thank you for joining us. And to our viewers, stay tuned. We'll come up with much more exciting content. Thank you, and have a good day ahead.